we know it's related to the giraffe because of its skull structure. It's got a very similar skull to the giraffe, as well as it has a prehensile tongue like the giraffe does, which that word prehensile pretty much just means it can move around and grab stuff. So you know the little horns that giraffes have that aren't actually horns? They're called ossicones. It's because they're still fully covered in skin. So male okapis will also have those ossicones. So that's one way to know that that was a female, because she didn't have those little nubby things. There's two animals that I can see are coming up here. One of them is a black and white bird, has a very long bill, and that's the saddle-billed stork out to our right. They're going to be about 5 feet tall when they're standing up all the way, and they can have a wingspan of up to 9 feet wide, which for reference, the canopy above your head is about 9 feet wide. Then the other animal I can see is up to our left. There's a black rhino up there. Black rhinos weigh about 3,000 pounds. But they're actually the smaller of the two types of rhinos that live here in Africa. They're very solitary animals, black rhinos are. They definitely prefer their alone time. Now, out in front of us, there's some greater kudus. There's also some bongos. So the bongos are the orangey brown friends up to the left. We know those are females because of their color, like an orangey brown. Males are more just brown. And then these greater kudus, we know those are females because they don't have horns. So actually that bongo that's kind of by the greater kudus, that's actually a baby male. His horns aren't quite as long, and he hasn't also developed his darker coloration. So both genders, when they're younger, have that orangey brown, but eventually as the males will grow up, they'll develop to be a little bit darker. It does look like we have left the Little Ituri Forest, which means we have embarked on our very long and perilous journey over to the Safi River. And alrighty folks, that does conclude our journey to the river. The first animal I can see is the pink-backed pelican, which is that white and gray bird on that first island. There's a couple on the second island as well. But the pink-backed pelican, as the name suggests, has a pink coloration on its back. Kind of underneath its feathers though, so it's a little hard to see. But that pink coloration gets a lot more vibrant during the mating season. That is a hippo on our right. That's a Nile hippo right there. Nile hippos weigh about 5,000 pounds. There's actually another hippo on our left. It's just fully submerged. It's like directly out to our left. There it is. Group of them is called a bloat, and despite spending most of their time in the water, hippos actually don't swim. Well, okay, they can swim. They just choose not to because they aren't very good at it. So what they do instead is they just sink down to the bottom of the river, and then they just run along the bottom of the river to get wherever they're going. They kind of look like horses in the way that they run underwater, prance along. Except it's like in slow motion though, right? Out to our left, we got some Nile crocodiles. Now, crocodiles are the largest type of crocodile in Africa. They're going to be about 15 to 20 feet long. They weigh about 500 pounds. Although they do have a very impressive bite force, they can actually be pretty gentle with their mouth as well. So when they lay eggs and it comes time to hatch, they can roll those eggs around in their mouth, kind of help the hatching process along. They're still really gentle when they do that though, not their little baby crocodile on the inside. Those crocs also have got a special type of bony plating right underneath their scales. Those bony plates are called osteoderms, which is kind of fun to say. Those osteoderms are going to do a couple of things for the animal though. One is that it's like armor, helps protect the animal. And another thing they do is that they act like natural solar panels, helping capture heat from the sun and distribute that heat farther into the core of the animals. Alrighty, it looks like we're approaching our next stop, which is the savannah. And a great indicator of that is coming up on our right. It's this big baobab tree. Baobab trees remain leafless for 9 months of the year, so it looks like they've got roots where the branches should be, and that gives it the nickname the upside down tree. But the reason they remain leafless for so long is to conserve water. All of that water gets stored in that really big thick trunk that it has, so during the dry season, rhinos, elephants, and other animals can pierce that trunk and get the water out and that gives it the nickname the Tree of Life. Basically, a great big water bottle for a lot of the animals out here on the savannah. Looks like we have a couple of animals out here on the savannah. I see some wildebeests out in front of us. There's some giraffes out to our right. One of them was actually even kind of running around there for a second. So the wildebeests here, they have another name they go by, which is gnu, spelled G-N-U. And they get that name from a rather nasally noise they make. It sounds just like new. So kind of like how the cow goes moo, the wildebeest, they go new. Our next animal is coming up on our left. I can see them through the bushes running around. And they are African painted dogs. African painted dogs are the most successful hunters in all of Africa. They're so successful because they hunt in packs and have really good teamwork and communication when they're out hunting. They kind of tag team in and out, chasing down whatever it is they're going for. And although they are a part of the canine family, they actually differ from our domesticated pets in a number of ways. Mainly though is that they don't bark. They chirp. They make rather chirpy sounds. Out to our left. Wildebeest crossing. Now to our left, you got some sable antelope. Sable antelope are the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They're very territorial, protective of their young, just as we protect all the animals we have out here. Now we are coming around to the giraffes, of course. So these are Maasai giraffes. We know that because of their patterns. It's a little bit more jagged and messy than other types of giraffes. Giraffes are the tallest land animal in the world. About 18 to 20 feet tall. The group of them is called a tower. Rather fitting name if you ask me. And this other animal out to our left, that really big tan-colored antelope, that's an eland. Elands are actually the second largest antelope in the world, only second to the greater eland. But they're still about 5.5 to 6 feet tall. They can jump about 6 feet high though, the elands can. So we got some zebras coming up here in front of us. They'll be on our right as we pass by. Those are Hartman's mountain zebras. We know that because the stripes on their backsides are a little bit thicker and a little bit more spaced out than the rest of their stripes. A group of zebras is called a dazzle. They are quite dazzling. And when a baby zebra is born, they imprint on their mother, which pretty much just means they memorize the stripes of their mom. As no two zebras have the same stripes, their stripes are unique to themselves. So it's one of the ways the baby zebra can tell their mom apart, just by looking at their stripes. This really big cow out in front of us is it's one of our Ankoli cattle. Their horns look really big and heavy, but they're actually fairly light for their size. It's because they're mostly hollow on the inside. They have a honeycomb-like structure, which allows blood to flow through those horns. And the blood in the animal cools off a lot quicker in their horns than in the rest of them. A great way of helping cool themselves off. The smaller antelopes out to our right now, those are springboks. I really like the springbok. I think they look like little s'mores. They get their name from their incredible ability to spring into the air. You can jump 6 feet high, 13 feet out in front of them, and they are in the top 10 fastest land animals in the world. So they're actually really fast for their size. Some more not wildebeest. These are definitely not wildebeest. These are more Ankoli cattle, is what I meant to say. So the Ankoli cattle are sometimes called Watusi cattle, named after the Watusi tribe, which is the first people who domesticated these animals. So they're actually one of two domesticated species that we have out here on the reserve. Ooh, out to our left, kind of behind this big bush, there is an African elephant. Look There's actually a couple of them. Can anyone tell me how I know these are African elephants? Well, I think I heard someone say it's because we're in Africa. Their location is actually a great answer. Also, their ears are another great answer. Their ears are very large, vaguely shaped like the continent of Africa, or mirrored, depending on which side you're looking at. But those ears are also packed with blood vessels, so when they flap their ears around, they're actually cooling off the blood in their ears. And then when the blood goes to the rest of the animal, it'll cool off the rest of the animal up to about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. So one might say they've got some pretty good ear conditioning. Looks like just around the river bend here, we've got some flamingos. These are greater flamingos. They're the largest type of flamingo in the world. Also the lightest pink colored flamingo. They get their pink coloration from their diet of brine shrimp. Specifically, it's beta-carotene inside the shrimp that gives them that pink coloration. So they're actually hatched gray, and then over time, as they eat more shrimp, they get more pink. It does take about 2 years for them to lose their gray coloration to reach their full pink potential. And lastly, a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance, which is very fun. Looks like we made it to a new part of the savannah, and that's the mud pits or the mud wallows. And just in between us and those, or in that mud, are some rhinos. So these are white rhinos. White rhinos have a really wide and square-shaped mouth. They're going to be about 5,000 pounds. And they're very social animals. They like to hang out in groups, which that does bring up the fact that a group of rhinos is called a crash. These smaller antelopes on our right, the really shaggy ones, those are water bucks. Water bucks secrete an oily substance from their skin and it covers their coat. Pretty much makes their coat waterproof. We got some more rhinos coming up here. Again, these are white rhinos. So the name white rhino actually comes from a bit of a miscommunication from the word vite. Vite in Afrikaans means wide in reference to that wide mouth. So really they should be called wide-mouthed rhinos or something like that. But white sounds like white. They got called white rhinos. There's a cheetah up to our left. See it walking around, standing up right now. Not for long though, it looks like. Cheetahs are the fastest land animals in the world. It goes 0 to 60 in about 3 seconds. When they're running that fast, they're going to use their very long tails to help steer themselves and keep their balance when they're making those sharp turns. Cheetahs also have got some dark spots around their eyes. Those dark spots kind of act like natural sunglasses. The way that works is that when the sun hits those dark spots, it's going to get absorbed instead of reflected back into their eyes. Helps them see on a bright sunny day, which cheetahs actually really need because they hunt during the day. They aren't quite big enough to compete with bigger cats that hunt during the night. So the cheetahs just hunt during the day instead. This big rock formation is called a kopje. Kopje rocks offer a pretty cool vantage point over the rest of the savannah. So it's pretty common to see animals up there keeping an eye out for predators or for prey, depending on who's up there, of course. We'll just have to keep on making our way around, see if we can find anything up there.
Oh.
Oh, so there are some lions up there. Lions like to rest up to about 16 to 20 hours of the day. They like to conserve their energy for when they really need it, like when they're out hunting or protecting themselves. But it's going to be the females who do the hunting out at night. The males who are going to hang back, protect the territory and the cubs. The lion's eyesight is actually about as good as ours during the day, but as soon as nightfall comes, their eyesight gets to be about 6 times better than ours. They have really excellent night vision. bucks again out to our right. So the water buck, they actually don't migrate nearly as far as other African antelopes because they find a big body of water. They just hang out by that big body of water. They use it as like a defense mechanism. Their predators don't like to go in the water, but they don't mind it, so they use it to escape predators. Ooh, on our right there's some ostrich eggs. Those are largest bird eggs in the world. They weigh about 3 pounds each. It's equivalent to about 2 dozen chicken eggs. Those ostrich eggs are actually really strong and durable. The average fully sized human can stand on one, and it won't break, it won't even crack. Looks like we've made it to Magadi Glen. This is home to our warden's post, as well as some Nigerian dwarf goats. These dwarf goats are domesticated animals, so they're beneficial to local farmers for a couple of reasons. One is that they're natural lawnmowers, they just about everything. Another is that they produce really sweet and valuable milk. And because these guys are so small, they don't take up very much land. It makes it fairly easy for farmers to keep their livelihood and not encroach on local wildlife territory. But these goats, they're rather playful animals at times. They like to climb over everything, including each other, like to headbutt each other, chase each other around. Playful behavior is their way of establishing their hierarchy. Or in other words, it's their way of determining who's boss around these parts. The most playful goat is the one who's in charge. Unfortunately, though, it does look like we're headed back to the village now. So I hope you guys enjoyed our journey out there on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. I hope you guys were rather inspired by the amazing animals we saw. We here at Animal Kingdom are really big on conservation. As Walt Disney once said, conservation isn't just the business of a few people, it's a matter that concerns all of us. But if you guys really want to help out, conserve our planet and all the inhabitants on it. And a great way of doing that is by looking for and purchasing products that are friendly to the environment. It's going to be notebooks made of recycled paper, maybe if you're out school shopping, or if you're out grocery shopping, you can look for organic foods. Organic foods use less pesticides, which decreases pollution and soil erosion. Organic foods also just use less energy to grow, makes them a more efficient option. Another awesome product is anything that's going to reduce or replace single-use plastics. Just using less resources in general is a great way to go. Alrighty folks, if we pass through the gates here, it means we have officially arrived back at the village. In just a little bit, we're going to be approaching some docks, so I'm going to drop you guys off. Right now is a great time to double check your rows, make sure you have everything that you brought on board. I'd love it if all of you guys left this truck with all of your personal belongings. If there's any wilderness explorers aboard, y'all have been on the Simba 1. It's the SIMBA 1. Alrighty folks, so as our time comes to a close, we don't like to say goodbye here at Harambe. It seems far too sad and far too final. So instead we say Kwaherini, which is a Swahili phrase and it means to go well. So Kwaherini friends, go well, go wild, go drink some water. I know it's rather chilly out, but it's still important to stay hydrated. On the right, watch hands, arms, feet, legs. Those doors are going to open. Watch your step as you exit, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.